I'd like to talk about computer science, especially courses for new students and for teachers who are new to the subject. When I say a new student, I'm referring to a student who may have studied programming on their own. They could be quite adept, but they're going into a computer science class that has a curriculum, maybe an IB curriculum or an AP curriculum, where they have to follow processes and procedures that aren't very fun and that require a little bit more discipline. As a teacher, it's important for you to be able to empathize with these types of students and for students who are completely new to the subject. Sometimes we lose sight of the little things that make jumping into a language like Java very annoying for new learners. Let me give you an example. A lot of students who start learning computer science or just start learning programming or coding, they start with JavaScript. It's free, it's easy to access, and there's so many tutorials online that you literally can learn for free. And you see it everywhere. And here is another reason students like JavaScript. You'll notice this is a very short function. Now, all it's going to do is alert hello world. But as a new student to programming, I like the fact that this happens. I've made an HTML file. It's called JSFun. I'm going to click it. Guess what? It runs. I get to see my results immediately. I once read that people like chopping wood because they get immediate results. And I would have to agree that if you want to get students into programming or into anything new, something like JavaScript is definitely a good way to go. I would even consider it one of the main languages I would use for an intro course because you get this immediate, it works. Hey, I type something and a window opens and, it works for me. And now you can run with this. You can use this simple structure and you can start putting variables in here. You can start using the alert box to show all the other work the student is doing. So with this simple initial step, you can get them building and building and building confidently, and that's important. Let's look at our friend Java. So Java's a little more different. Java has classes. Java has this whole concept of a main method that students have to learn. And, it can be a bit overwhelming. I really like this website, java2s.com. So, not for all of this stuff, but for this. Most curriculum out there require students to use the Java core library. Some of them allow additional libraries, but for sure, they're going to be tested on the core library. That's important. Imagine if you're a student and you have been using JavaScript, you go to Stack Overflow, everything you find on Stack Overflow you can use. You start researching Java, you go to Stack Overflow or some of these other sites where you've got professional programmers talking all the time and sharing information. They're using libraries that are not going to be part of the curriculum. They're not going to be assessed. I have seen students make amazing programs, and I've had those programs come back to me from the organization that was marking them, and they literally ignored some of their best work because it simply wasn't part of the scope. My fault as a teacher, I know, but at the same time, it's hard to say no when students have brilliant ideas. I digress. Let's jump back. So I'm going to go in here. So java2s.com, I'm going to, in the Java core library, and I'm going to go down to our old friend, java.util. Okay. Now, I would like to show you how I do this with students. First off, what I just did, I show students how to do. Hey, let's go to this website. I navigate them here, and then I will have them go down to something like list. All right. Now, when they get here, they realize this isn't JavaScript. This isn't what I've been doing. This actually looks like a foreign language to me. I have no idea what's going on. That's totally fine. The last thing that you want to do is try to explain all this stuff to them immediately because it's overwhelming. If you studied another language, like an actual language where you're communicating with human beings in a different language, you understand that too much too soon can really put you off. So you do want to take it slow, all right? I would tell them to navigate here and say, okay, go down to Boolean, and you see where it says Boolean add all int index? They'll be like, yeah, but I don't. It's okay. You don't know what it means. Just click it. Okay. So now we have something to work with. You're not going to explain this. So this is the next step. Don't explain this. Just leave it. Now, I'm using the BlueJ editor because it's easy to use for students. You might be using something else. It doesn't matter. Um, you know, whatever. Just doesn't matter. In BlueJ, I've started a new project and I have this class. I'm going to open it up. You can see BlueJ's already created a shell for me where the main method is. All right. So when they open this up, depending on how you run your class, you might want to show them how to comment, and you might want to stress that if you want to be a very good programmer, you should put all of this information in every time. You should write a description of what you're doing, put your version date. I know most people don't do that, but you can do that. All right. And you can show them that they can put in spaces and it doesn't affect anything. All of this is important. They don't know any of this if they've just been using something like JavaScript and markup. So it's very important. All right, so now you're in here. This is the goal. The goal is to show them how to take this content and put it in this box. That's it. How to take this content and put it in this box and then test it. All right, so I'm going to grab this content. Now at this point, everyone's nervous, but doesn't matter, right? Because you can just make another file whenever you want and start over. That is also a good thing to remind them. Hey, don't worry about it. We can do this as many times as you want. All right. Once they're in, you can say, all right, go down to where it says public main and replace all of that. Just drag it all the way down and leave one bracket. Can you guys do that? I'm trying to be a teacher here, so I'm not speaking necessarily to you, the listener. This is just the script I would go through with the students. Okay, so I've pasted that in. All right. Now, I've got this red box. Like, what's that? Cannot find symbol, class list. Now, at this point, the students are going to feel like something's wrong, like they've broken something. And this is a very good place to enter this concept. In Java, when you want to use something in a library, you need to import it. Does everyone understand that? Because a library has tools in it. Think of a library as full of tools that you can use to solve problems. But you've got to bring it into your program. You've got to tell your program what library you want to access. And most students will get that. And so that's when you say, all right, guys, I want everybody to type this in. And they put in the import java.util. You can explain you want to put the asterisks in for now because it's going to pull the entire utility library in. You might want to explain later on that you don't want to do that because you want to use what you're using to not access information that you don't need. You can then scan through this and say, hey, are we using an X variable anywhere? No, we're not. Okay, let's go ahead and take that out. Again, nothing's broken. They can see the color coding. They know that they actually just pasted something in, they fixed it, and they cleaned it up a little bit. Compile. No syntax errors. Now, good point to focus on right here. Hey, what's the syntax error? Go through it quickly. Move on. Close this. And you get your output. Now, the students have done that. They have an immediate result. It's working. So now you can say, hey, why don't you guys jump back? Let's jump back. All right. Find another one to do. In fact, in the next 10 minutes, I would like you to find a few more of these to do. Then I'm going to have each table maybe present at least one from each student. So now what you've done is you've shown them a way to get success. You've given them that feedback that they need. You've shown them how to quickly know if there's an error or not by looking for the red boxes or the underline, like whatever your interface has. And now you've encouraged them to experiment, and they know that they can do it. And they're getting a pop-up window. BlueJay's going to pop the output up, but I'm trying to match their experience they're getting with something like JavaScript, where they know where the output is. Obviously, a lot of IDEs, the output would come down here. I know some people use a terminal when they start teaching computer science, the output comes there. It's totally fine. The idea is that they're getting that immediate positive feedback and they're feeling confident. Like 10 minutes ago, when I looked at this screen and I clicked on list, I felt like I was in a foreign country and couldn't communicate. And now I have some skills and now I'm working with it. That's all within the last 10 minutes. That's empowering. And those are things that I think all computer science teachers need to remember. And this encouragement of experimentation first and explanation later, I think works. It keeps the content from being overwhelming.